Hi, I'm Richard Wheeler, and this is Richard Wheeler Works, a Twitch stream where I work. And we're continuing on a project to understand the world of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance through looking at physical surveillance practices and trying to make an open source surveillance pedagogy. Looking at Instagram and YouTube and Pinterest and whatever else is out there. So what we've been looking at for a while now, or a couple episodes, is using Google reverse image search with a seed that was from Instagram, right? It was a urban hide site training or urban observation post training with 473 Special Patrols observation battery in the UK. And now we sort of, through the Google reverse image search algorithm, we found ourselves more into finding things that were subsurface. And so let's take a look and see where we're at. Remember, last episode, we've been going through this spreadsheet and populating it with, first of all, the first 25 of these images were things that came from the initial search, numbering beginning at 0. So this being the last one from the results from the Google image search. And we went through, there were 25 to start. I down selected to 12. We went to the first, we went through the first one of these and said, okay, what are all the related images? And that produced 6. So now we're just going through the remaining 11 from that first level 1, level 0, depending on how you want to start your counting. And we're assuming that at each level we will get, well, for the first 2 or 3, it may be plus, 6 plus or minus a couple. But as we go, we'll slowly bleed out all of the related imagery. We'll get to a pretty tight interlinked or interrelated cluster of images based on how the Google algorithm is relating things, right? So, and then remember over here to the right, we have all these the same things, and we're saying this is how we're building a link table, right? To say that of the 31 images in the set, 8, well, of the 30 images minus this first one, 8 are related to it, right? So we can say that's the, well, as we go, we'll be tracking along here in row 3, and see. It's just interesting to me, like, which one is the most connected in a way. What I'll do with that, I don't know yet, but that's interesting to me. I want to know that. I just have a gut feeling that that'll be interesting. That's the best I can put it right now. So let's take a look at this guy from British Army on Twitter. Light Dragoons at LD Light Cav on Twitter. British Army snipers off. So we see here a bunch of things that we know we've already seen, right? We've seen this one. So let's. That doesn't work. So this is number 5. And we know that related to number 5, we know this one's related. They link to each other. Be interesting to see if that's always true, right? Because number 5 here was related to number 0, and number 0 is related to number 5. But is that always true? Is there always like cross linkage? And then which other ones did we find? that were related. This one, right? It's this little game of memory. This 174 observation post, and we're seeing that. This one. And those are the ones. This one was too. Did this one not? Oh yeah, British French forces, right? Huh. Do we not get that one to load or something? That image? This one. I was pretty sure that this was in our set. It is somewhere. 957297. I'm reading the URL. 957297. 957297. Is it the same? Is that what it is? 32. Huh. All right. Okay, but this one, definitely haven't seen this one. Canadian Army Basic Sniper Course. No. British Army on Twitter. Radio Girl at DJ Ellie Prohan joins British Army in London. On the beat. Huh. Okay. Military reenactor in World War II Britain. I've seen this. Unification through. This was a. This. What are the most effective ways to combat elite troops such as Navy, SEAL, or SAS units? Ugh, God. All right, so this one we're going to add. So let's see, copy. Link location. Give that search. Why am I adding this? Because I think that I think that goes over here actually. Let's see, copy image location. Need to get back in the jam here, right? Doing this in order. Insert image, image in cell. By URL. Let's see if we get that error. We're not. That's great. This is still this level 1. We're still yeah, right. And then we're saying what's the Pinterest, of course, is a pain in the butt because the links don't necessarily go to that image, right? In this case, they did. Cool. This is related to number 5. Army Snipers, Bravo Company, 2nd Battalion, Royal Regiment of Fusiliers. Do something. And this. There we go. Alrighty. Next up is this one. All right, they're clearly in an OP. Canadian Army Basic Sniper Course. That's, yep, like this. One. Copy image location. I feel like these episodes are just me muttering, but sometimes muttering is work. Certainly watching me mutter may be work. So, you know, this project, it's inspired by a number of things, and one of them is a film created by the artist Christian Marclay called The Clock. And it's a 24-hour film that's held in a few museum private collections. I think there are 10, 12, 20, I don't know. It's not a huge number. You know, just as an aside, it's interesting, you know, the recent, I'm doing this on March 3rd, 2021, and last week there was in the last couple weeks, there was a sale of a piece of art, a piece of digital art that it's like I think a flying toaster or something. What was it? Yeah, it's a animated flying cat with a Pop-Tart. That's right, and rainbow. And it sold for, I don't know, was it like $6.5 million? It was a lot of money. And I'm just trying to find the link here, and I'll drop it in. This is funny. Here we go. Man, just to talk about non-fungible tokens and Clubhouse at the same time. So it's very current. So this piece was sold using a non-fungible token, which is blockchain, which is all the things. And this is saying, you know, this is this original work. But this is I bring it up because it's topical right now, but it's also, you know, I'm saying in contrast, a work like The Clock is, you know, there are a number of discrete copies, like physical copies or digital, but, you know, so you don't need to tokenize it. Anyway, the point of bringing up The Clock was not to talk about blockchain. That's somebody else's Twitch stream, I'm sure. The point is that the Clock is this amazing 24-hour found footage film. And I saw it, I think the first time maybe in 2010, or part of it. I've seen maybe 6 or 7 hours in total of the 24. And I was immediately asking myself, how did he do it? How did Christian Marclay do it? What was the workflow to get this massive project done? The conceit of The Clock is that every cut, every piece is taken from a movie that is referencing time, that has a clock in it, that has a watch in it, where somebody is mentioning time, and it happens in real time. You know, somebody says, "Oh, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon." Then you're looking at a clock that says it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But you know, it's a massive undertaking. I learned through reading interviews that Marclay had gotten an advance from his gallerist. believe it was Sean Scully. I may be remembering that incorrectly. Um, but that's how that's how he was able to get the staff, and I still haven't really learned what that staff was composed of, but to do the logging, to do the, all the work that went into developing this film. And, so that has led me to doing projects like this, to say, like, well, how is it possible for one person first, and then for small groups, and then maybe larger distributed groups, to do these kinds of, found footage is a type of open source project. Open source in the sense of the information is open. So like in the sense of open source intelligence, as opposed to open source in the sense of open source software, which is a whole different sense of it. And I try to play with both senses of it. The open source software discussion is completely about, well, not completely, there's a large part of it historically that's about rights and ownership and distribution, and now it's also about community and community production and labor, right? And that's all an interesting conversation in and of itself. And in parallel, I'm interested in the amount of information that's available, and I'm putting that in air quotes because there's this spectrum of white to black information. White information is completely available. Black information is completely unavailable. And of course, most information is really in between. It's gray. It's some shade of gray. It's available with a caveat. It's unavailable, but you can get access to it, right? So the idea of dumpster diving in a like the hacking idea of dumpster diving, not for dumpster diving for food, but dumpster diving like through the trash, and what documents got thrown out, what manuals got thrown out. Like that was a big way that the early hackers, like the phone phreaking era of hackers, people who were hacking the phone system would stake out like a Bell Company, office or warehouse and just go through the trash and find what had gotten thrown away and piece together how the system worked through doing that. And that's really what this project is. It's saying what has been left out there for all of us to see. Or that's a way to look at this project. What has been left out there for all to see, and how are we able to put it together? And so that's what this spreadsheet is about. Is me just as I go, trying to make sense of it and make a structure that allows me to pick up where I left off. And bit by bit chunk this out, right? In this case, I'm doing this by myself. The project's set up so that other people can get involved, or it's partially set up. So the thing I'm trying to understand more of is how much more would I have to do to make that not just a notional thing, but a real thing. And then also, is that what I want? I just finished a really great book about open source software development. I keep saying I need to put things in the notes, and I still have. I need to like rewatch all this and remember what to put in the notes. But I mentioned the clock, so I need to put that in the notes. And then I just finished this great book called Working in Public about communities and populations and publics and labor and all the things that are not the code part of, not all the things, many of the things are not the code part of open source. And that's what this is. It's like, do I want this to be a group project actually? Because there's this conflation nowadays of open source being a group or collaborative effort. Or is this just a thing that I do where it's available for all, but I'm the only one doing it, and I'm the only one in control of the outputs. There is no right or wrong answer. Like generically, there's right or wrong for the kind of project you're trying to create, and that's I think what I'm trying to understand as well as while I'm doing this. It's like, okay, so there we go, we got those done. So there were There were 1, 2, 3, right? So that's all right. We already cut in half the amount of images that were productive from the second of the 12 of the first tranche. So let's go to image number 3. So I've got that done, and then boom. So I've done 2 of 12. So if I were really, if I were really trying to help myself here, I might say, move these here, and then say, level, and do this. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, and I'm actually going to rotate this. Sorry, I'm just, as a person who's made a lot of spreadsheets and made a lot of spreadsheets that are unintelligible to other people, I try to, think about documentation or just, it's not documentation, it's just labeling as you go. And also, it's either for other people or for yourself. So that's number level, number reviewed level. Okay. Right, because I have these column numbers that are adding up, and it's like, okay, so what do those mean? Right? Who cares? Okay. Because, okay, so now I go to this one. This is, yes, they worked along 473 Sphinx. Right? I figure we'll end up with, see if we go, we'll see. Well, yeah, so we'll go through here. We'll see how many there are that we get, and then we can have some estimate if we go down another level. If we go down 2 or 3, 4 more levels, how many images do we get total? The team recently traveled to Malaysia to meet soldiers from 4-7. Yeah, totally. We want to know all about this. What rifle does 473? Boring. Okay. All right. So have that. So $24 hours. It sounds easy, right? It's like, oh, we'll just let it run. I've been also recently just nerding out on a genre called vaporwave, like an electronic music genre, and there's a ton of stuff on YouTube. It's like electronica mixes of from, it's very retro 80s, early 90s, and the backgrounds are all found footage, like the video, and there's some amazing, I think, some amazing. So this is related to image 6. people walking through malls, people, commercials, industrial films, all this stuff. And, some of it's just like a pretty dumb loop. I'm saying dumb, not they just people had a bit of video and they just put it in a loop, and then there's a lot of other stuff where there's a lot of cutting, and it's as somebody who does found footage work or found material work or open source assembly work or assemblage or collage or whatever you want to call it, I look at some of this stuff and I'm like, wow, somebody is doing a lot of editing for something that looks like it's just you might just pass by and be like, oh, nothing. So this is the same post, so I'm not going to do that. This is interesting, right? Because this is, so that was a Facebook post about some unit in Malaysia with 473 Sphinx. This is the British Army on Twitter, right? So now we're on multiple socials platforms, and asking ourselves, are they the same? Are they different? Is one showing more than the other? Who's responsible? One level of that we don't have for any of this because we're still just like spidering out is, attribution. Is there a person? Is there a photographer? Is there a public affairs officer? Is like who, because, so I used to do photo research for a few magazines like a while ago now, let's say, in the 90s, and really proto-internet. So a lot of the research that I would do would just be like talking with people, getting on the phone and asking people what they had. And, the kind of gold mine you'd look for, or I would look for, would be a photographer who, had outtakes from an event or a moment, so it's like, because if you just go out like here to the internet, maybe you've seen stock agencies like Corbis, Bettman. I don't know the whole, like, I don't know who owns what now, but you might have seen, or like Alamy. There are online stock agencies that are more, or Courant, perhaps you've seen the names. Getty Images, that's one you may see a lot of. And, that's stuff that everybody, it's all in the system. What you're looking for is stuff that's not in the system. And to find that, you need to find the people, and you need to hit them up and say, and call them and say, do you have anything that other than what I'm seeing here? The answer may be yes, the answer may be no, but that's where you're going to find potentially like troves of information. Now I've done research at Ep13 in Paris, the Établissement de Communication. Boy, I can't remember the acronym now, but it's basically the French Defense Imagery Archives. It includes still and video. And their catalog is, I can't remember if I mentioned this, but their catalog is completely, it's computerized. It's just not online, right? So if you want to search what Ep13 has, you have to go to Paris. You have to get on their machine. So it's a very similar thing where it's like, there could be a lot out there that you're seeing the tip of the iceberg. That's always my question, I guess, is what I'm saying when I'm in these sites. It's not a question, it's an assumption. My assumption is that this is the tip of an iceberg, and that if I can find the people, maybe I can get more from that iceberg. The people who are involved in the creation. More, what rifle do they use? Army Rumor Service. So I don't know. Maybe there's stuff here, but this just looks like people standing around. Let's just see what is. I'm just going to quickly go a little deeper here than we're set out to be doing here. Because this is like a forum. And, oh, look, see, this is interesting. This is from that, this relates to some of those other things. Yeah, it's a lot of, your mileage may vary with forums. So let's get out of here, because that's a rabbit hole. It's all a rabbit hole. 5th Regiment Royal Artillery, Yorkshire Gunners. Huh. I don't know. Long-range surveillance units. Specialops.org. I'll click on it. Is this actually a picture from Vietnam, or are these airsofters? That's the question you have to ask yourself. I mean, so here we see a lot of people these are all people patrolling. The question I have is, can you learn about patrolling from looking at static images of people patrolling? Like, I don't know if you can. You know? I just don't know if this is productive. You've seen a lot of people with different kit. But, it's like, what is this telling me about how to do anything? It's like, wear camouflage, carry a big bag. I don't mean to oversimplify, but it's sort of like, what's the... I can't see what they're seeing here. They're looking. You can see this guy's eyes. He's looking, but it doesn't tell me anything. Yeah, so I'm going to pass on this. This doesn't look like a... I could put that in and do a second... But and these we've seen before. I didn't find these very interesting. And this is from the STA patrols. Huh. JTAX. I always think I know what this acronym is, and then I'm not sure. Joint Tactical Air Controller? Gunner Magazine? Open that in a tab. Come back to that. Those gunners keep the eyes on target in California. Okay. All right. I'll bite. Oop. No. Again, 3. Grudging 3, right? Copy image location. Insert. And you notice none of these were from the other ones, though. So we're in like a totally different part of the grid, the network. Copy link location. This is a Facebook post, so does this? Yeah. I need to catch it quickly because I have a tool on this computer that blocks Facebook during work hours. So if I switch back here, you'll see it says do nothing for 2 minutes. You can hear some waves. I think. Oh, yeah. There we go. That should be pretty relaxing. Be cool if I just sat there for 2 minutes. Listen to the waves. Zenned out. Okay. I'm going to leave this guy for... The regimental, I'm assuming behind this guy's says magazine of the Royal Regiment of Artillery. Well, that's a thing to find. You know. And this looks like it's some Yumpu is like a... I don't know what this is. Is this a thing? Because there's some platforms where people publish their magazines. Like digitally. And then there are platforms where I can't tell if like the magazines have been like just scanned and it's not official. I don't know. It's a little confusing for me. Okay, so we reviewed this, now we review this. Right? So we reviewed 3 of the 12 from level 0. Now we have 12 in level 1. So at the rate we're going, right, we could have 48 in level 1. I think we'll have less than that. Right. Right. The Pilbara Regiment. This just says observation post on it. This is... What is this? Description. Oh, look, those were Australians, though. Huh. Okay. Return to the Jungle. A renaissance of close country warfare. Grounded curiosity. All right. Exercise Rim of the Pacific. Forward observers on a hill. Well, they're not exactly on a hide site, are they? Iraq Royal Australian Regiment Association Incorporated. People talking. Patrol in Australia's north. This is Pilbara Regiment. They do like long-range patrols. Exercise Talisman Sabre 2011. I believe that the Pilbara Regiment is a joint reserve active regiment, if I'm not mistaken. Armory's Regional Force Surveillance Group meets Prince Charles. Oh, hello. Wonder if he's... Yeah, I mean, yeah, this unit's on my radar, but I'm not seeing anything here. It's saying, yeah, look at that. So nothing came out of that, really. Okie dokie. So that's reviewed. Let's move this out of the way here. Okay. 4 down, 8 to go. Right, so there's an Alami. I don't know how you pronounce that. Okay, so we see that this one we've seen. So this is number 8 has number 32. Right. It has this one and that one, so this one and this one. This is the same, right? This is interesting. This whole world of mobile training equipment that goes in these little connexes. I didn't know TRX had one of these. It's cool. It's gonna pull that out into a different, again, for later. Not related per se. Fourth Force Recon Marines increase combat effectiveness along California Army National Guard. Maybe. All right, so of the things that we haven't seen already, no, this is... Yeah, so not interested in this because they are not concealed at all, right? So that's not helping me learn how to do anything. Canadian Special Forces, look over Peshmerga observation post. Nothing very concealed about that. These guys are just doing a thing. So this is the one that might have... Maybe? I mean, this is linked to some things. I mean, I feel like I've seen this, though. Maybe not. All right, we're gonna take this one. It's interesting, right? Because this is mostly related because it's all the it's not like they're concealed here. They're not in a concealment position, but their camouflage is working well with this scrubby brush, and so it's relating to these other ones. But maybe this links into something else. I think that's the question I still have: is how much do you include something that's maybe marginal, but you think, oh, this has characteristics of a thing that I'm going to want to find, and let's see if Google will find it for me. Oops, sorry. Okay, that made any sense. It's, a lot of this question that I have, and this is, I think different than some of the questions that you see in a piece like The Clock is, I'm in a world where there are algorithms that are, I keep doing that, that are churning through all this information that's online. Can I make this information, can I make these algorithms work for me, as opposed to just being drowned by information? Is this, a potential force multiplier for me? Let's see, this was 8, right? Yeah. Okay. All right, so we've done 5. Let's do, one more and see where we're at, Maybe we're at time there. Keep going to those people working out. All right. There's that one that really wasn't that great. Some people doing some things. Not seeing a lot. I mean, this is really a hasty surface OP somewhere. I'm assuming east of me, near 29 Palms. I mean, pretty, or Fort Irwin. Or Afghanistan, right? Could be any of those, because they all look kind of very similar. And again, this is not, telling me much, I think. This is a very static observation post. All right, cool. We know that. So we've had a couple that have produced nothing, right? Oh wait, did that link to anything and I just forgot to note that? No, that links to nothing that's useful, or nothing that I have deemed useful. Marine radio operator man's observation post in New Zealand. Oh, okay. 473 special OP battery. Facebook page breaking down the British elite forces, the Pathfinder platoon. Special OP battery on Pinterest. We've seen that one. We've seen that one. We just saw that one and we weren't too interested in it. We saw that one and we weren't interested in it. Okay, so one thing we'll note is that those two are related to image 11. That one, and what was the other one? Right. This one. And maybe there's a couple more here to grab. This one. You know, not the greatest, you know, hasty. Well, that's part of what I'm trying to learn is what is hasty, what is, you know, more long term, and then what is quality within. It's like not fair to say like something is good or not if you don't know like what's the intended purpose. Like that's probably fine for, you know, long range artillery, like where nobody's close to you, and you know what I mean. But if it just depends on the mission set, and that's part of what we're trying to understand, right? Is because that influences the training. All right, that's on DVids. And that is related to number 11. Okay. Got that one, and then yeah, there's actually a couple more here, right? Because this could break me out into a whole nother thing, right? Who are the Pathfinders? I don't know. Right now. But, you know, see, potentially they have a similar mission, right? Or there's overlap. So, you know, right now we're in coming out of 473. But the question is, are there other groups that do similar things? A question I have is that, are there other groups that do similar things? How is their training similar? How's their training different? How is it, it could be just one's documented better than another, and that's useful for us. Link location. And then this. Actually, these two. So what I'm doing, I'm, you know, if you're seeing, but I'm rolling over the these links to take a look at the URLs, which are showing up in the bottom left-hand corner. Probably very small for you, but these are both Pinterest, but they're different URLs. So well, or no, man, I'll just do this, and then I'll say I'm going to go back in. Copy location. Oops. That's the link location. Copy image location. I wonder if this will go, though. Remember we were having some problems before. Yeah, there we go. Boom. Quite a bit, actually, from that one. All right, so we've got remember, we're starting at 0, so we've got 42. We've looked at we've got 42, but we've got only 29 that we've said we're interested in. And we've done 7 of those. So we went from having done 1 out of 12 to 7 out of 27. So our percentage has increased, but our total search space has, our percentage has increased, but so not as fast as our total search space. Right, we've got 20 to go, where we had 11 before. So it's doubled. But we're more than halfway through level 1. So we've got this one to go, this one, this maybe. All right, we got this one to go, this one, this one, this one, this one, that one, and that one, and that's all of level 1. So once we're done with level 1, we'll just take a look at what we have. You know, we'll pull all these images, we'll put them all together, and we'll say, where do we have, you know, what do we know now about making subsurface OPs? Like I said, I've done some work in this area before, so I have something to compare it to. But what we're looking at now, it's just this run, we'll say, and how much do we know? We're assuming we knew 0 when we started, right? We saw this thing about the SRPC, Special Reconnaissance Patrols course. We tried to learn a little bit like what's the structure of that. We learned that there's these training elements about observation posts. We learned that there are 3 weeks, each week dedicated to a different kind of observation post, right? A rural subsurface, a rural surface, and an urban surface. And now we're looking after a Google reverse image search on one of the images from the SCA Patrol's Instagram site, Google reverse image search, looking for urban observation post material that we can use to try to understand how to do it, but finding more rural subsurface and just rolling with that surface and subsurface, but we're sort of looking for the subsurface part. So that's the work we've been doing, and there's more work to do, so join me again on Richard Wheeler Works.